This is Kardec Radio bringing to you the book Among Brothers of Other Lands, written by several spirit authors and psychographed by Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira. This partial audio recording will cover Chapter 11, Food for Thought, and Chapter 12, In Regard to Mediumship. Enjoy. Chapter 11, Food for Thought. Andre Louise. This message was psychographed hours after the mediums of this book studied the possibility of accepting an invitation for an interview on a TV program. All stations of respectable publicity are pathways in which the Spiritist idea needs and has to carry over. Our task, though, at this time is to revive the flame of doctrinal principles. Food for Thought appeals to reasoning. We are before a world in reform, house in transition and remake. Between the accommodation of the old and the challenges of the new, we are brought in to raise the cynical for the values of the soul. To agitate opinions would be a distraction, losing an opportunity in extroversion. The evangelical Spiritism asks for decided harvesters to turn over the piles of truth, silence and construction. It does not matter that we are few. The disputed bread in the streets was once a commitment of work between the farmer and the land that welcomes hope. Never despise the obscurity of the beginning. Light up with the book, the spark of light. 20 days after the receipt of this message, the mediums signed an agreement with the Philosophical Library of New York for the launching of the book, The World of the Spirit. Let us do our part. Other workers will come. The work is not ours. Let us reflect on the supervision that sheds from Christ and dwells on the reverence of the good spirits who represent him. Materialism invented machines capable of sustaining minimal physical effort for humanity on earth, but it did not suppress the afflictions of the spirit. The more culturally advanced are the peoples of the earth in regard to the brain, the more ample is the rate of moral suffering. Although academic titles and technical advancements are indispensable in the economy of progress, they do not either heal the diseases of thought or get rid of the fire of passions. We are called to work today to disassemble the traps of suicide and combat the plague of obsession by dismantling the gaps of boredom and discouragement, anguish and disbelief, through which insinuate the force of shadow against light, an imbalance against the harmony that governs the existence. Let us proceed. May we stay with faith in the supreme power and the presence of the Master, who is that same eternal friend who convincingly promised us, "Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness." John chapter 8, verse 12. After 20 days of the receipt of this message, the mediums signed an agreement with the Philosophical Library of New York for the launching of the book, The World of the Spirit. See page 47 of the book for a statistical study of suicides in 10 countries during years 1961 and 1962 that show the highest level of death of this nature. See page 48 of the book for a statistical study of madness during the years 1961 and 1962 in 10 countries that show the highest level of death of this nature. Both studies were organized by the mediums. Notes from the mediums Waldo Vieira and Francisco Candido Xavier. A. The present statistical studies about suicide and insanity considered herein as being illnesses of materialism, except in the exclusively organic cases, were done per the request of the spiritual benefactors Emmanuel and Andre Louise, so that we can evaluate the necessity of spreading the evangelical Spiritism among the nations. B. Emmanuel and Andre Louise conducted the surveys of mediums in this direction in the month of July of 1965 in New York, which resulted in a series of studies that show the average of deaths by suicide and insanity. Nowadays on earth, on all the continents, is so serious and significantly high as are the cases of cancer and arteriosclerosis. From these mentioned studies, we highlighted the present statistical points for a summarized presentation of the problem by showing the situation in only 10 countries. C. One copy of the Demographic Yearbook 1963, edited by the United Nations in New York in 1964, from which were taken the notes above, was offered to the library of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. Chapter 12. Advanced Cultures and Moral Disasters. Emmanuel. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" Jesus. Luke chapter 12, verse 20. It is not enough to gather material values to guarantee happiness. Nowadays, the advanced cultures obtain prodigious deeds on earth in all of the kingdoms of physical nature, since the control of the atomic forces up to the astronautic achievements. However, among the most developed people of the planet, two moral disasters of materialism advance, corrupting its strength: suicide and insanity, or more properly, anguish and obsession. This happens because human beings do not supply themselves with spiritual reserves at the expense of machines. To withstand the friction necessary for evolution and the conflicts resulting from the regenerating struggle, humanity needs to feed itself with resources of the soul and rely on them. In this way, it is important to remember Allan Kardec's wise comment from item 14, chapter 5 of the Gospel, according to the Spiritism under the epigraph "Suicide and Insanity." The calm and resignation acquired for the manner of looking at earthly life and for the faith in the future gives the spirit a serenity that is the best preservative against insanity and suicide. In fact, it is certain that most cases of insanity are due to the troubles produced by the vicissitudes that people do not have the strength to bear. However, if due to the manner in which Spiritism enables them to regard the things of this world, they end up accepting with indifference, even joy, the reversals and disappointments that would render them desperate in other circumstances, it is obvious that this strength, which puts them above such events, protects their minds from the distresses that would jolt them otherwise. Spiritists, friends, let us meet the charity that suppresses the poverty of the body, but let us not despise the assistance for the needs of the soul. Let us divulge the light of the Spiritist doctrine. Let us help our neighbor to discern and think. Paris, France, August 19, 1965.